Imagine your life if no one could ever touch the switch of your emotions. Not a rude stranger, not a demanding boss, not even someone who knows exactly which button sets you off. In the midst of chaos, you still breathe evenly, your eyes remain clear, and your heart stays calm. The Buddha taught holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting another to die. In the end, the one who burns is always yourself. The problem is not that you are weak, it is that you were never taught the path to mastering your reactions. Most of us operate on instinct. One insult triggers an eruption. A small stress turns into a storm. A minor misunderstanding ruins an entire day. Each time you hand over the key to your inner peace, letting your mind become a room anyone can invade. Emotional mastery is not about denying feelings. It is the art of standing still within the waves, letting them pass without being swept away. Shift your position. Instead of being the one angered, become the observer. When a spark of provocation flies your way, you don't have to be the fuel. One pause, one deep breath, one simple question. Is this reaction worth my peace? Is enough to shift energy from burning to clarity. The right silence is not surrender. It is disciplined wisdom. It ends the chain of fueling the fire and brings you back to your calm center, where others' words fall like dry leaves upon a still lake. Anger gives the illusion of power, but its cost is clarity, dignity, and health. The heart races, muscles tighten, judgment clouds, and words become knives that tear the very things most precious to you. Even if you win the argument, you lose the greater battle, the inner one. True strength doesn't shout. It stays composed in the moment of greatest provocation. That is the kind of power that doesn't need to be displayed. It simply radiates. From this moment on, make a simple vow. No one owns the buttons of your emotions but you. Each time you feel pulled into chaos, remember the poison is in the hand of the drinker. Instead of taking another sip, set the cup down. Instead of responding, breathe. Instead of justifying, smile and preserve your dignity. You cannot stop the wind from rising, but you can become the calm eye of the storm. And when you master your reactions, you'll discover a simple yet profound truth. Mastering emotion is the shortcut to mastering life. Most people believe that venting anger will make them feel better, that it helps them regain control. But the truth is the opposite. Every time you react, you feed the fire of emotion, making it blaze higher. A hostile glance, a careless remark, a small inconvenience. Each may seem harmless, but when you react instantly, you surrender full control of your inner state to external events. Imagine a man who has had a long day. On his way home, someone cuts him off in traffic. He yells. At the cafe, the barista gets his order wrong. He snaps. When he gets home, a single comment from his child triggers frustration. His whole day has been stolen not by these events, but by a chain of unexamined reactions. He hasn't lived a day. He has only relived his anger again and again. Buddhism teaches anger is not to be defeated, but to be starved. Just as a fire cannot burn without wood, anger cannot survive without fuel. Yet humans often do the opposite, arguing, justifying, replaying the story in their minds, pouring oil and wind onto the flame. Instead of stepping back to observe, we get pulled in, becoming victims of our own minds. So how do you starve anger? Begin with intentional silence. When someone shouts at you, imagine their words as dry leaves floating down a stream. You are not the whirlpool, you are the still water beneath. One deep breath, 1 second of pause, one choice not to react. That is not weakness, that is strength. For the hardest act in life is to stay peaceful when you have every reason to lose your calm. This simple practice can transform your life. Next time someone irritates you, do nothing. Don't reply. Don't react. Take a deep breath and imagine yourself standing at a crossroads. One path leads to the burning fire, the other toward light. Then choose the light. Remember, the one who shouts is not the strong one. The one who chooses silence at the right moment is unshakable. You don't need a monastery to practice this. You only need a single moment of awareness. Each time you are triggered is a chance to train. Each time you starve an outburst, you strengthen your self-mastery. And one day people may say or do whatever they wish, and you will remain steady, unmoved. Not because you feel nothing, but because you have learned the art of letting go without reacting. And that is the quiet, invincible power within. Most of your reactions are not conscious choices. They are the result of invisible strings pulled from your past. A word, a look, a situation can trigger old programs, memories, fears, unhealed wounds, and suddenly you behave according to a script written long ago. You think you are in control, but in truth, you are being controlled by ingrained patterns. Recognizing this is the first step to reclaiming your power of choice. Buddhism calls these patterns habit energies, psychological imprints formed by experience, conditioning, and repetition. A child scolded harshly may develop a habit of fear. One betrayed may internalize defensiveness. Years later, even the smallest signal can awaken the entire chain reaction. Sadly, we often realize we were being controlled only after the damage is done. Words have cut, relationships, actions have hurt others, and sorrow stretches on. So how do we see through and cut these strings? Begin with deliberate awareness. When emotion arises, ask yourself a simple question. Who is pulling this string? Me or my past? The answer doesn't need to be complex. The very act of pausing to ask creates space between stimulus and reaction. In that space, you regain the right to choose to react out of habit or to respond with intention. Next, practice the method of acknowledge, name, release. Recognize the emotion that appears. Name it clearly. This is fear. This is shame. This is anger. Then gently let it drift away. Naming reduces the unconscious power of emotion. It turns the storm into a passing phenomenon you observe, instead of a wild horse dragging you. Through repetition, the strings loosen. Automatic reactions lose their hold. Then trace the source of these habits. Many arise from distorted beliefs. I must be respected. I can't make mistakes. Others must acknowledge me. When you realize that these beliefs are products of past circumstances, you can lay them on the table. Are they still true? Do they still serve my life today? Unraveling old beliefs is how you release the power of invisible strings. Finally, integrate small daily practices, 1 deep breath before replying, 1 minute of silence. When tension rises, journaling your reactions to spot recurring patterns. These small acts, repeated over time, work like a pair of fine scissors snipping away, string by string, until you truly step out of the puppet mechanism of reactivity. When you learn to recognize who's holding the strings and consciously cut them, something miraculous happens. You cease to be a victim of reflex. You become the conductor of your own life, responding with purpose, strength, and composure. And at that point, every shout, every criticism, every conflict loses its power because real power has returned to where it belongs within you. There's a common mistake almost everyone makes. We think our emotions are who we are. We say, I am angry, I'm a hot-tempered person, I'm always anxious, as if emotions were permanent features of our identity. But the truth is emotions are not you. They are guests, coming and going. The problem is that we mistake the guest for the host and hand them the keys to the house. Buddhism offers a beautiful metaphor. The mind is a guest house where every emotion has the right to knock at the door. Joy, sorrow, anger, loneliness, all are allowed to appear. But welcoming does not mean identifying. Emotions don't need to be banished, nor indulged, only seen and then allowed to pass. When you notice an emotion rising, say, anger. Simply name it, anger is here. Not I'm angry, but anger is visiting. That small shift in language changes the perspective. It keeps you in the seat of the observer, not the reactor. You can see the anger, breathe with it, and wait for it to leave, just like watching a cloud drift across the sky. This is not easy, because strong emotions pull hard, but just as the wind cannot topple a mountain, emotion cannot destroy a mind that stands still and observes. The power lies in the distance you create between what you feel and the awareness that sees it. The wider that distance, the greater your freedom. Imagine waking up feeling low. Instead of concluding, "I'm terrible today," try saying, "A bit of fatigue is visiting." You neither suppress it nor let it rule your day. You acknowledge it, watch it, and let it go when it's ready, like a guest who comes and leaves without rearranging the furniture in your home. One effective practice is silently naming emotions. Sadness is here, worry is visiting, anger has arrived. When you name it, you bring awareness into what was once unconscious. You deactivate the autopilot, and in that stillness you reclaim the power to choose, not to react, not to judge, simply to be present. With practice, you'll see that emotions are not enemies, but messengers. Each brings something to be understood, but none requires you to become it. Be the calm host. Open the door. Smile. Welcome the emotion. But always remember you hold the keys. No guest may stay forever unless you allow it. And from this act of welcoming without identification, you become the true master of your mind. Most of us grow up believing that anger is a sign of strength, that if we don't react or fight back, we'll be seen as weak or disrespected. But the truth is, anger doesn't prove that you are strong. It only proves that you are being controlled from within. And the greatest tragedy is that the first person hurt by your anger is always you. Imagine someone holding a burning coal ready to throw it at another. Before he can hurl it, his own hand is already scorched. Anger is that very coal. You hold it hoping to strike back, yet you are the first to burn. Your breathing quickens, your heartbeat rises, your body tenses, stress hormones flood like a raging current. And the cruel part is the person who angered you may have long since walked away while you remain smoldering in the ashes you created. The Buddha taught, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Because every time you lose control, you sacrifice not only peace, but clarity, compassion, and the harmony of your relationships. You might win an argument, yet lose someone dear. You might prove your point, but carry guilt for the rest of the day. So what do you really gain? Ask yourself, how many times have you spoken in anger and then regretted it? How many times has something small become huge simply because you couldn't stop yourself? Anger is a silent thief. It steals your wisdom and drains your life, energy. But this isn't a call to suppress anger. Suppression only buries it deeper, turning it toxic. Instead, face it. Observe it like an outsider. When emotion rises, don't act yet. Breathe deeply. Allow a moment to pass in which you do nothing. In that pause, you'll see anger is not you. It's just a dark cloud passing across the sky, intimidating but impermanent. True strength isn't in retaliation. It's in composed silence. When you don't react, you strip the provocateur of their power. When you remain calm, you keep your dignity intact. And when you refuse to hold on to anger, you are saving yourself. Next time someone insults you, pause and ask, is it worth setting myself on fire for this? And if the answer is no, drop the coal. Not because the other deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. The world outside is always shifting. Injustice, criticism, broken plans, difficult people. These are inevitable parts of life. But what truly hurts us is not the storm itself. It's letting that storm blow into our minds. When the world is chaotic, we become chaotic too. When others lose their temper, we mirror their energy. And so the inner self gets dragged by outer turbulence like a leaf swept away by the current. But imagine a violent hurricane raging outside trees, collapsing roofs, torn apart, everything spinning wildly. Yet at the very center of that storm lies a zone of perfect stillness, no wind, no noise, no motion. Buddhists call this the eye of the storm, the place within where you remain unmoved regardless of circumstances. And that is something you can train the ability to stay centered amid upheaval, to keep the inner world untouched by outer chaos. The key is not controlling the world, but controlling yourself. When someone insults you, stay silent and breathe deeply. When another rages, observe without absorbing. When plans fall apart, remind yourself, I am the eye of the storm, not the whirlwind. This is not denial. It is awakening to a truth. Your inner space is vast enough not to react instantly, deep enough not to be swept away by passing waves. You cannot stop the wind from rising, but you can learn not to be carried by it. You cannot change others' tempers, but you can preserve your own temperament. Like the ocean, no matter how fierce, the surface waves, the depths remain calm. Your mind is the same when you return to your center. No matter what happens, you can face it with steadiness. Remember, not every word deserves your response. Not every battle deserves your participation. Not every outburst needs to pull you in. Your calm is not weakness. It is your highest strength, the invisible armor that makes you unshakable. So next time life erupts around you, take a deep breath and whisper, I am the eye of the storm. Everything may rage around you, but within you choose stillness. And from that stillness, you'll rediscover life's most precious treasure, inner freedom. There is a simple yet profound truth. Most of our suffering doesn't come from great tragedies, but from allowing countless small drops to fall into a mind that's already too full. A disapproving glance, a negative comment, a late appointment, an ungracious word, all these small things, when met by a cramped heart, become the drop that makes the cup overflow. But the drop is not the problem. The small cup is. A person with a spacious heart turns great troubles into small ones. A narrow-hearted person turns small troubles into mountains. The difference lies not in the outer world, but in the inner space you allow for emotion. That is the essence of Buddhist meditation, to expand the capacity of the mind. Imagine holding a small glass of water. A few drops of ink will stain it completely, but if you pour the same ink into a vast lake, nothing changes its color. The wider your mind, the more trivial worries dissolve. So instead of wishing that no one ever irritates you, become the one who is not easily irritated. Instead of expecting the world to stop bumping into you, become the ocean, so every wave that hits simply fades away. To cultivate this practice, widening the space between stimulus and response. When someone acts poorly, don't react immediately. Pause for a beat. When something doesn't go your way, don't rush to judgment. Look one layer deeper. That brief pause is where you expand your inner cup. Each time you do, you're not only training composure, you're elevating yourself to a higher level of emotional intelligence. Those who are easily hurt often live with hearts too cramped, burdened with old wounds, unmet expectations, unspoken words. So when life merely brushes against them, they shatter. But those who regularly empty their minds through mindfulness meditation and letting go become vast like the sky. Every emotion passes through like rain, never lingering too long. Ask yourself, what's upsetting you today? Will it still matter in a week, a month, a year? If the answer is no, then why allow it to steal the peace of your present moment? Don't let small things overflow your cup. Expand that cup with mindfulness, compassion, and awareness in each response, because the greater your mind, the lighter your life. Every time you get angry and stay silent, every time you're hurt but don't heal, every time you're disappointed but can't release, you lay another brick in the wall of your emotions. A hurtful word, a careless act, an unhealed memory all quietly pile up. Then one day a small incident causes you to explode, not because today's problem is big, but because yesterday's wounds were never released. People don't collapse from one event. They collapse under the weight of long-stored pain. Like a river dammed too long, unexpressed emotions rise and eventually burst. But the emotionally wise are different. They don't wait until overflow. They let go early. They exhale as soon as a negative feeling appears. They know holding on only makes the heart heavier and the soul rigid and closed. Buddhism offers a beautiful image. Don't build walls, build bridges. Walls divide, bridges connect. Walls keep you trapped in the past. Bridges carry you forward toward freedom. When you choose forgiveness, you are not weak, you are building a bridge. When you choose understanding instead of accusation, you are not submissive, you are laying down a break of release. Each act of letting go makes you lighter. Each moment of openness allows peace to flow through again. Ask yourself, when was the last time you stayed angry with someone for days, and what did you gain from holding on to it? Most of us have no answer, because when we look back, we realize we only imprisoned ourselves within the wall we built. No one else is trapped, only you, the one who locked the door. So don't wait until your heart is too heavy to learn release. Let go while the hurt is still small, before anger hardens into resentment, before disappointment turns into bitterness. Let go with a single breath, a compassionate glance, or a word left unsaid, because you know it no longer serves peace. Above all, build bridges. Bridges to others. Bridges between you and yourself. Bridges between the past and the present, so you can keep walking lightly and freely. As the Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. When you let go, you lose nothing. You simply return what no longer needs to be held. And what you gain in return is something priceless, true inner freedom. Most of us grow up in a world that teaches us to react, to fight back, to win every argument. But Buddhism reveals another path, the path of one who knows how to disappear at the right moment. Not as an act of cowardice, but as an act of wisdom, to withdraw from the battlefield of the ego, where every fight is meaningless, and even the victor walks away wounded. Have you ever wondered why you feel drained after arguments? Why a careless remark can haunt you all day? Why a stranger's criticism can stir up such anger? The answer is simple. You haven't yet learned how to step out of the game. The ego always wants to win, but the soul only seeks peace. And the truly strong are those who dare not to react. Imagine someone insults you. Instead of arguing, you remain silent. Instead of explaining yourself, you smile and walk away. To others, it may look like defeat. But in truth, you've reclaimed something far more valuable, the right to your own serenity. Because once you stop entering the ego's battleground, you become invisible to attack. Like a shadow disappearing when the light shifts, every arrow aimed at you falls harmlessly to the ground with nothing left to pierce. This is the art of disappearing not from the world but from pointless games. You don't need to always be right. You don't need to always be superior. You only need the clarity to know what's worth keeping and what's worth letting go. When you stop reacting, others lose their control over you. When you stop arguing, you stop fueling the conflict. And when you walk away from meaningless battles, you preserve your most precious resource, your life energy. Try it once, stay silent when criticized. Try it once, don't join an online argument. Try it once, walk away from the keyboard instead of typing harder. You'll realize that doing nothing is also an action of wisdom. And as you practice, you'll understand more deeply the Buddha's words. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. Likewise, you don't lose by choosing not to react. You gain freedom through that choice. So next time your ego demands to strike back, smile, breathe, and disappear from the battlefield. Not because you're weak, but because you no longer need to prove your strength. Your silence will echo louder than any defense. And your withdrawal will mark the arrival of one who has truly mastered themselves. When anger flares, when impulses threaten to tear through your calm, remember these 7 principles, 7 keys that open the doors to inner freedom. Key Hashon. Don't feed the fire, it will die out. Every impulsive emotion is like a flame, the more fuel you give it. Words, arguments, overthinking, resentment, the higher it burns. But if you stand still and stop feeding it, it will extinguish on its own. That's not weakness. It's the art of conquering through stillness. Key #2. Cut the strings, take back control. Don't be the puppet pulled by others' behavior. Each uncontrolled reaction is a moment you hand over your strings to circumstance. The moment you realize I'm being pulled, that very awareness begins to free you. Key #3. Turn your mind into a guest house. Emotions are visitors. Emotions are not who you are. They are guests passing through. Welcome them mindfully, neither rejecting nor clinging. When you stop giving emotions the power to define you, they stop ruling you. Key #4. The burning coal burns the hand that holds it. Every time you hold on to anger, you grip a red-hot coal, believing you'll throw it at someone else. But before you can, it's your own hand that burns. Forgiveness isn't because they deserve peace, it's because you do. Key #5. The eye of the storm, calm amid chaos. The world outside may rage, but you can be the calm center that remains unmoved. Non-reaction is power. When you refuse to be swept into the storm, you preserve your inner strength. Key #6. A larger cup, small things can't overflow it. People who anger easily don't face big problems. They have small hearts. Expand your inner space. When your heart is vast, like a lake, a few drops of ink cannot stain its surface. Key #7. Build bridges, not walls. Each time you hold on to anger, you lay a brick separating yourself from the world. The higher the wall, the lonelier you become. Drop the brick. Build a bridge to move past emotion. Don't wait until the wall is too tall to climb. 7 principles, 7 exits from the maze. You are not a victim of emotion. You are the one who chooses the response. And you always have that choice to keep fighting, reacting, and resisting, or to pause, breathe deeply, and walk through in silence. From this moment on, you can choose a different way to live. A life no longer ruled by sudden bursts of emotion, no longer swept away by waves of anger, resentment, or disappointment. A life where you master your inner world, not by suppressing feelings, but by mindfully observing, recognizing, and letting them go. Every negative emotion is a test, yet hidden within irritation lies an opportunity to awaken. A harsh word, an unpleasant situation, a moment of insult, all of these are mirrors reflecting your inner state. And every time you choose to observe instead of react, you strengthen your inner power. Each time you pause, instead of falling into old patterns, you bend the chain of conditioning and turn toward a new path, the path of spiritual freedom. You cannot control the world, but you can always control your response to it. That is where peace begins. And that peace does not come from running away from emotion. It comes from no longer being controlled by it. You don't need to become emotionless. You just need to become aware. Know what you're feeling. Know that emotions are only guests, not the owner of the house. So begin. Don't wait for life to become calm. Practice right in the middle of chaos. When someone hurts you, breathe, then observe. When your mind is storming, sit still and smile gently at yourself. When someone tries to provoke you, remember you have the right not to play that game. You have the right to disappear from the battlefield of the ego. That is silent power, radiant and unshakable. You can rewrite the meaning of strength. It's not the loudest voice in the room. It's the quiet one that remains grounded. It's not the one who wins every argument. It's the one who no longer needs to argue to feel worthy. And you can become that person. Each day, choose one small situation to practice. One moment of not reacting. One breath instead of snapping. One smile instead of criticism. Those small actions, repeated often enough, will crystallize into a new way of being, turning you into one who stands firm like a mountain, amid storms calm like still water amid chaos. The journey of emotional mastery is the journey home back to yourself, and everything you need to begin is already within you. The only question that remains is this: will you practice or will you keep reacting as before? Choose freedom. choose peace, and begin with your very next breath.